So I announced my calling before the church Easter Sunday. That was April 3rd, 1994.
Oh, wow.
I preached my first sermon June the 5th, 1994. And while many people laud and applaud the fact that I've been doing this since I was 7 years old, and maybe we'll get to this later on, or maybe not, I often remind them that what that also means is that every major decision that I've made to dishonor God, I did it as a preacher.
Yeah. Welcome back to another episode of the Heal to Lead podcast. This is a space where we're coming to unlearn surviving life and embracing wholeness. I am your host, KevinOverton-Hadnot, and I'm excited about this episode. Why? Because I have my frat brother here today, the one and only Vecente Coatney. How you doing, man?
Hey,
Welcome
man.
to the show.
Hey, man, I am overjoyed to
Yes.
be here, and I really mean that. I share with you off camera, but I really mean this. Man, to be able to be asked to do something in a space like this means the absolute world to me. And so thank you, man. Thank you for letting me be a part.
I got on my bow tie.
Listen,
got on my
you
bow
can't,
tie.
listen.
You know how we do it,
Had I known, I would have came with a tie on and whatnot, but that's neither here nor there.
No, it's all good.
Noops will noop, wherever we are.
Wherever
Do
we
you
are,
hear me?
however we look, we're going to noop.
And whatever colors we got
Right,
on
exactly.
too.
That colors
'Cause
don't matter.
And whatever colors we got on too.
Looking sharp today. I appreciate it.
bro.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I want to start this show by asking you, how you doing? How you feeling for real, for real?
Oh man, I am. I'm sleepy because this is usually the time I'm taking my Sunday nap.
Okay, I got you.
For sure, I'm sleepy.
Yeah.
But you know, in my soul, I'm actually in a good place. I'm in a solid place. I appreciate you asking, man, because you know, as you might imagine, you would assume that many people would ask a preacher, pastor, how they're doing.
Yeah.
We don't get it as often.
Wow.
Not as often as you might assume.
Yeah.
And maybe that's part of the challenge. People assume that somebody else is going to do it.
You should be good because you're.
But even beyond that, there are a lot of people who maybe have the desire to do so, but they assume, oh, he got enough people telling him. I'll wait.
Yeah.
Right. And
That's
so the
good.
fact that you would pause
Yeah.
in the moment to ask really means a lot. So I appreciate it.
The next time y'all see Vecente, make sure y'all ask him how he's feeling.
Please, and I'll ask you the exact same. I will do it.
Yeah.
How you doing for real? For real.
Let me also say this too. So I know you. I've seen you preach, and people don't know this about me. And I may share this on a different episode later on. That there was a 2-year period where I took a sabbatical from going into the church building. I was on the worship team, but I needed a bit of a break. I was also getting my license, and I just had too many things on my plate. But I said I wasn't going to church. I was watching church. I watched a couple of churches, but definitely I had a lot of opportunities to watch you preach.
Oh, man.
So I want to give you your flowers to say you are probably one of the most, in this area, dynamic, powerful.
You're very kind.
You're bringing the heat every single time. How are you able to bring that much heat, power, word, of course, every time you preach? Tell me more about that.
Most people probably won't believe this about me, but I'm an introvert.
I cannot tell. I
probably shouldn't say this, but I'll just say it since we're in a safe space. I love everybody.
Yeah.
I don't like many people.
Mm-hmm.
I would prefer to be by myself.
Yeah.
But because of the nature of, I probably shouldn't have said that, but I said it anyway. What I mean is that my natural personality, if given the opportunity to go hang out, I'm staying at home.
Well,
right.
Got it.
But I say that to say, to answer your question, it's the work of the Spirit. It is the work of it. It is the work of the Spirit,
and only the Spirit,
and only because by personality, I'm more reserved. I'm more to myself. I'm more into my head. But when I stand in front of the people, God gives me great grace. And here's the other part. I'm a product of Black preaching. Mm-hmm. And Black preaching is different than any other kind of preaching anywhere in the world. Yep. And so it requires a level of charisma. I'll say it this way. For many people in the black church, not saying that this is gospel truth, but for them it may be gospel truth. If they don't feel it, you ain't said it.
Yeah.
And so God has given me the grace to show up as my authentic self. And out of that is generally some sense of excitement, exuberance.
Yeah.
And plus the other part, here's what I'll say, and then I'll move with respect to this. If the news isn't good to you, is it going to be good to anybody else?
Right. It got to be good to you first.
It got to be good to you first.
Yeah.
And so when I preach, in those moments, man, God reminds me that the truth is the truth for me too.
Yeah.
And so often what you see, particularly at the end of the sermon, is a celebration of what we have discovered together about who God is, what God is capable of doing. And so, that's how I would say.
And for those non-BOK listeners, that celebration that's the hooting, hollering part of it?
Yes. So at the end of the sermon, when your preacher generally will add some kind of form of musicality to his voice, hollering, sweating, all that, all that. That's generally a result of celebration.
I love that. Yeah. When did you first learn or pick up the idea that you were going to be called to ministry, and what was that process like for you?
All right. So how much time we got?
This is your show episode.
Okay. So I have been preaching 31 out of the 38 years I've been alive.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I started this journey of preaching as a boy, 7 years old. And here's why I asked the question, how much time we have, because my call to ministry is something that, according to my mama, was something that was predestined. In the 80s, before technology became what it was, there was some form of technology. There was smaller sonograms and whatnot, but not to the degree that it is now. I say that to say, initially, the doctors told my mother I was going to be a girl. And for much of that time, it was like, we're going to have a girl. Well, somewhere around 8 months, she told me, when she was 8 months pregnant or so, like right before she gave birth to me, she was in a worship service, and the preacher who was up preaching began to prophesy, called my mom up and said, the boy you're carrying is going to preach, and it's going to bring families together. So I've always been a church kid. I'm a church baby through and through. And if you're familiar with the little preacher Luke Tillman, he's a social media sensation. That was me as a little boy. Loved preaching, loved the preacher. Went to school on Tuesdays and Thursdays wearing suits in the second grade. Like that's me, right? And so, make a long story short, I had a somewhat of a Jeremiah experience. I am at my grandmother's house. It's a Saturday night. I don't remember exactly the day, but I remember it was a Saturday night. And I had this vision of what I believed to be heaven, or what I envisioned was heaven. I saw what I believed to be angels. This is something that to this day I can see it as clearly as I'm talking to you now. Had this vision, blue skies, clouds, these angelic figures moving about. And while I did not see the face of God, I did hear a voice clearly say to me, V, I want you to preach. And I said in my 7-year-old mind, or my 7-year-old voice rather, I'm 7, nobody's gonna listen to me. I wake up from that dream. I go back to sleep, I have it again. I wake up from that, I have it a third time. By this time, I go to the room where my mother is in. It's gotta be the middle of the night. Well, it's the middle of the night. It's gotta be maybe somewhere around 2:30, 3 in the morning. And I go to my mama and I say, Mama, the Lord called me to preach. The Lord called me to preach. And so my mama turns over, and I can't tell you what she said, but I'll just say she just told me to go back to bed. And so as only a nice African-American mother could. Like, listen, you better go back to bed.
Yeah.
But because I experienced this and I knew it to be true, and I felt it and I knew I had this call from God, that next morning was a Sunday morning. And when church was over, I made a beeline to my pastor and pulled on his coattail and said, hey, the Lord called me to preach. And in that day, you know, in the black church, if you were called to preach, they would make you preach. So, so I announced my calling before the church Easter Sunday. That was April 3rd, 1994.
Oh, wow.
I preached my first sermon June the 5th, 1994. And while many people laud and applaud the fact that I've been doing this since I was 7 years old, and maybe we'll get to this later on, or maybe not, I often remind them that what that also means is that every major decision that I've made to dishonor God, I did it as a preacher.
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
But again, it's just, you know, the notion and the idea, right, is very simply that I have been called to this, and God had to make it very, very clear to me soon and early.
Yeah.
And so I've literally spent my entire life. This is the only thing I've ever done with my life.
That's interesting. Do you identify as preacher first or man first? Or how does that
for a long time, I identified as a preacher first. Preaching was my life. Preaching was my calling. It's the thing that I knew that when I was doing it, I felt the pleasure of God. But then, like, and this is where therapy comes in, so I'm glad you brought it up. Because for so long, I've defined myself by what I've done. So a preacher, I'm married to an amazing woman, Joanna.
Yeah. Shout out to her. Amazing singer.
Listen, she the one. Do you hear me? Not the two or the three. She is the numero uno.
Yeah.
She the one. And we have two sons, Vecente III and Jackson. And my therapist asked me when I first started the journey, she was like, so who are you? So I started running down this list of.
Yeah.
And she said, okay, that's great. So who are you?
Yeah.
And we spent about a year
unpacking that one
trying
question.
to figure out who am I?
Amazing therapist work. I love it already.
So I identify as a child of God, one who has been, and I don't say this to be super spiritually or uber, ultra spiritual, but I do identify as somebody who is loved by God, and that there's nothing that I can do or not do to make God love me any more or any less. Yeah. And what that does for me is that it provides for me the opportunity to serve as pastor, preacher, husband, father, friend, son, brother, out of that space. And so, the long answer is that I identify as a man, particularly a child of God.
Yeah. I love that. So since the age of 7, you've been called to this ministry work. That means you've been, I'm labeling this as like carrying others, because this ministry that, you're pretty much carrying others through this work. You're helping them, get closer to God. You're walking with them in their faith, all the things we talked offline about, your pastoral care work. So I want to talk a little bit more about the cost of carrying others, though. So what comes up for me, this question is, what does preparing a message and delivering it week after week, what does that take from you mentally or emotionally?
Listen, let me tell you something. Any preacher worth his or her salt, if it does not take something from you each week, you are not doing it right.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You're cheating the process. Because the work that it requires to, first of all, understand what the original text means. We call that exegesis. What it was the author's original intent. That's work. Right? So it's hard work, it's hard work, it's grueling work. And for me, it takes on a whole nother level of work, because not only is there the understanding of what's taking place in the original text, but I consider myself a wordsmith. And so the amount of effort it requires to string together words, to create pictures, to be creative, man, that is hard work. And to have to do that week in and week out, it requires the work of the Spirit. And so I like to juxtapose, or maybe juxtapose isn't the word, but I like to marry. That's probably the better word. The work that I do, the methodology, my preaching kind of process, with the mystery of the Spirit. Because the reality is, I can do all of the word work. I can put something down on paper, but if the Holy Ghost don't breathe on what I got, I ain't got nothing. I don't feel comfortable going to the pulpit. And so there is this period of sitting and waiting. And I don't know if you've ever tried to hear from God, but God very rarely moves on our own timetable.
Right. Correct. Very rarely.
God generally will take his time. And so there are certain times when it's clear, okay, this is what God is saying regarding this text. This is what this means for us. Then there are other times where you got to wrestle with that text, and you got to, and that's just to get to the pulpit. That's just the preparation.
That's the before work.
That's the before. That's not even counting the amount of time and energy it requires to actually present it. So yes, I said that to say yes, it takes a whole lot. It takes a whole lot.
Wow. You're bringing, like I said, the heat every time you preach, week after week, all the time. Is there some sort of relief that comes after that, or does it stay in you? We mentioned earlier that there's celebration at the end. You believe what you're saying, but how does that? What is like the culmination of like you finishing the process? Is it say stuck in you, or is there some sort of relief?
It depends on the week.
And
it depends on the sermon. And I say that because there's certain weekends, certain sermons where I've preached it and I know God has emptied me. And in that regard, it's like, okay. Then there are other times when the next verse, in the words of the late Dr. A. Lewis Patterson Jr. out of Houston, Texas, he would often say, no sermon is ever really complete because the very next verse is saying, hey, say something about me.
Right.
And so with respect to the assignment for that given weekend, there may be some sense of relief. But then you add into that the fact that I generally am my biggest critic.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So when everybody's telling me, when everybody's telling me, oh man, that blessed me, in the back of my mind, I'm like, but I didn't say what I really wanted to say. Or I could have said something differently. I mean, so Kobe Bryant is my favorite basketball player.
So you're a Lakers fan?
I am a Laker fan.
Okay.
I'm a Laker fan. I am. No, I am. No, I really am. I like where we're going. Luka done lost that weight, so I think we got a chance.
Okay.
But I said that to say, often when people talk about Kobe Bryant, the thing that they talk about is the meticulous way that he would study the game. And so in many respects, that's kind of how I am with my preaching. If I go back and listen to my sermon, I'm listening to figure out, okay, did I say that right? Or how could I have said it better? And so in that regard, I may wrestle with it even more after, after the actual sermon. I'm always asking my wife, was I clear? So it depends on the week. It depends on the sermon.
What do you think people often misunderstand about what it takes to really hold space for others while you're leading in your capacity?
So I've got to shape this around the fact that I'm not the senior pastor.
Right.
So for context's sake, I'm the assistant pastor at Greater Mount Zion, which means that I get the opportunity to come alongside our lead pastor and to ensure that whatever he needs me to do, I'm able to do it. And so I say that to say, I don't get everything that I could be getting. Mm-hmm. So that's the context. Yeah. But with what I am blessed to do with the people who I'm blessed to serve, you said the question was what misunderstanding?
Yeah. Yeah.
About holding space.
Yeah.
There are a lot, but the one thing that comes to mind is that I actually have more space than I do.
Okay.
Because in a lot of cases, when people come to preacher pastor, depending on what the nature of the conversation is going to be, there's this sense of urgency for them that may not be for me.
Yeah. Right.
And yet at the same time, you've got to hold that space in a way that honors them.
Right.
That lets them know.
Honors you and them.
Sure. Mm-hmm. But and my role is it's to serve the people.
Yeah, for sure.
And in serving the people, what I've discovered is that God creates the space to make sure that I have what I need to continue to serve the people. Yeah. But to your point, it is definitely to honor both. But if I had to lean one way, it's going to always be to pour my life out in service to other people. Where was I going with that? So often one of the misunderstandings is that he got the space to hold that for me.
Yeah.
Let me tell you why that's a misunderstanding for me. Because I'm the type of person, when you tell me about it, particularly if it's somebody I love, somebody who I have a relationship with in the church, something's not going well, I'm going to feel that.
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to feel it. Yep. And I'm going to take it home, and I'm going to sit with it, and I'm going to be thinking, okay, how can I better serve them?
Right.
What do they need? And then you multiply that times the couple thousand people we have. Now, granted, I'm not, I don't get all of them, but I get my fair number.
Your fair share, yeah.
It's like...
Yeah. And those can sometimes be heavy.
Yeah.
I mean, I have only maybe 15 to 20 caseload, and those are heavy stories.
You feel the... And watch this. And you can't talk about it to nobody.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You cannot.
And so let's just say you get filled up real fast.
Yeah.
Real fast.
Yeah.
But there's a sense of trust that the people have with me that I am greatly appreciative of, and I really do. I try to make the space necessary
for sure
to make sure that they feel heard, that they feel valued, that they know that I have prayed and am praying, and if I can support in any way, that's my line. Listen, if I can serve you in any way, I want to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So
you've been serving people since you were 7, though. First of all, what was your first sermon?
Proverbs 22:6. I called it home training. Now, here's what's funny about that. I have no idea what I talked about.
Okay.
Let me tell you why. And
it wasn't recorded. It says no secret archive for it.
So my grandmother, amidst all of the other things that she has, maybe has either a VHS and or a cassette tape of it. But it really ain't much to it because I spent the first 10, 12 minutes just standing up there crying.
Okay.
So to know me is to know that as a child, I was incredibly tenderhearted.
Yeah.
And so whenever I would preach, I would just get up there and I would say, giving honor to God. And I couldn't get pastor and first lady. I just start crying. And you know how it is in church. Yeah. Oh, it's all right, baby. It's all right. It's all right. So for the first 10, 12 minutes, I cried.
Wow.
I cried. And
was it tears of fear or like you were just overwhelmed by the experience? Or?
I honestly, I've never really given thought to that. I don't think it was fear. Because I knew this is what I was called.
Right, because you pulled on the pastor like, hey, I got to preach.
No. I knew this is what I was called to. So it wasn't fear. If this is just me thinking about it in this moment, I'm sure if I thought about it even more, I probably have an even better answer. But those moments would feel weighty.
Right.
Even now, the preaching moment feels weighty.
Yeah.
almost to the point, I'm so used to it now. Of course, when I was younger, it would cause me to cry. But now, if I don't feel that before I go to the pulpit, I don't feel like I've spent enough time with God.
Oh, wow.
So I've gotten used to the weight. And it's a reminder, right, that I don't have to use my own strength, my own intellect, my own charisma.
Yeah.
This is honestly the work of the Spirit.
Yeah.
So.
But with that way and like preaching and like ministering to people and pouring out, like are there like any practical ways that you're actually being able to do that, hold space, preach so dynamic and awesome and intense at times? How are you able to do that without losing yourself?
I try to make time for myself as much as I can when I'm not doing that. The pandemic provided for me an opportunity to not only learn about myself via therapy, because that's when I started the journey around the pandemic time, but I picked up some hobbies.
Yeah.
And so I like
pastors get hobbies?
What? Listen, I don't have many because I don't have that much time.
Yeah.
But I do like the game of golf.
Okay.
I've become an old man, Jesus. But I love the game of golf.
Yeah.
That's 4 hours that I ain't got to worry about.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And I can shoot 112 and lose all my balls.
Yeah.
And still meet Jesus on the green. And still meet him, right? Yeah. And that replenishes me.
Yeah.
I have an amazing wife, and I still get the joy of being my son's heroes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So that fuels me.
Yeah.
That fuels me. And so holding space for me when I don't have to hold space for other people provides the space I need to hold space for them when they need me to hold space for them.
Yep. So outside of shimmying, you miss it off the list.
Yeah, I mean, my shoulders they don't do what they do. They don't do what they did in 20.
Yeah, I tell folks I retired my shoulders. They're retired.
Oh man, what? They don't listen. I can't do half them things. I can't do half them strolls. Man, what? I just sit and. I'm glad they taught us the bop.
Yeah,
they taught us the bop.
Why am I saying new school? That's interesting to me. So no, outside of being a family man and golfing, and how are there other ways that you're? I guess I'm using the word decompressing or really turning to, I guess, refuel yourself.
This is probably something you probably would not expect, and I probably ought not say it, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I watch trash TV.
Yeah, you must be twins with Pastor Parker, by the way. Not to call him out, but he is vocal about that as well too. I won't tell you what show he's watching.
I will watch my fair share of trash TV.
Yeah,
and watch somebody else dysfunction.
Yeah,
and be okay knowing that it's not my dysfunction.
Yeah.
And having watched this deep existential and sometimes theological conversations with my wife around what's going on.
Yeah,
I love that because what it does is that. It gives me the opportunity to decompress, like really decompress, to detach and disconnect from the work. Because for me, the work is real work. So when I leave here, my wife is going to meet me at the house. We got episodes of Love and Marriage, Huntsville, that we need to catch up on.
I love that.
So we're going to do that. Boy's going to be in the bed, so it's going to be great. We're going to watch that. And that's going to be that.
Yeah,
and I'm going to feel good about my Sunday today. I spent time with the Lord, had great time with the Lord. And now I'm ready
I love that.
I'm
Sundays are for love. So Sundays are for the Lord and love and marriage.
I love
it.
Yeah, because here's the thing. We don't like watching it in real time because we don't really like the commercials.
Right.
So we watch it a day later and skip the commercials.
Yeah.
And we're able to have these meaningful conversations.
Yeah.
So
I'm just, keeping my ear to the ground and, as a therapist and always trying to build relationships with people, religious and spiritual leaders. Of course, going to seminary at the Southwest, we become more spiritually integrated counselors and therapists. So I'm just always keeping my ear to the ground about, like, where is the mental health like connection with, spiritual and faith leaders. And so I've been reading a lot of articles and just hearing more and more pastors talk about mental health. There was one article, I can cite it in the subtext, but 38% of pastors considered quitting full-time ministry in 2022 due to stress, isolation, and burnout. Why do you feel like conversations about pastoral mental health are becoming more public?
So before I answer that question, I did not know you were at the Seminary of the Southwest.
I was.
You were.
I was.
You were with my good sis, Dr. Dominique Aisha
Yes.
Robinson. That is
Dr.
my
Robinson, how you doing? Shout out to her.
Let me tell you, that is my girl for real. And I love her, and I'm grateful for the ways in which she is making the city better, that seminary better. She even before I got a chance to know her, she was stretching me as a preacher, and so she's one of those ones who keeps me on my toes.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, had to shout out my good sister.
Yeah, I think she came. I think the semester after I graduated.
Okay.
But yeah,
okay.
I got to. I know of her through other people, but I've seen her.
No, she the real deal.
She preaches too.
She the real deal.
Yeah.
And so to answer your question, I think part of it is because we can no longer hide it.
Yeah.
We just can't. It's becoming more public because it needs to become more public. Yeah. Often when people think of preachers, they think of us as Superman and Wonder Woman. And at best, we're Clark Kent.
Yeah.
And so, we feel the way you do.
Right.
We hurt the way you do. The only distinct and the only difference, now I can't remember exactly where I heard it, but I heard this years ago. I'm trying to think of, it was Pastor Larry Crabb.
Okay.
He was giving a session, and he said, often when people think of pastors, we think of pastors as being overly super spiritual. And the reality is, a pastor is someone who is just a more mature disciple.
Wow, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. We've been given a responsibility to lead a group of people because we are more mature. Or at least we should be.
Yeah,
right. So, not perfect, just more mature, right? And if the congregation is experiencing this, you can only imagine the impact of the mental strain of holding people's lives in your hand.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a lot.
When I think about this, I think about our lead pastor, and I'm not sharing anything that he hasn't shared. For me, he was the first champion for me of mental wellness in the church.
Yep.
He struggles with the medical depression, and I don't know how it all works, but he is it's a legitimate medical kind of situation. This is not just he feels bad, right? He's sad, and it forced him to be out for periods of time as he would recover and medicine and trying to figure out which medicine works and this, that, and the third, which is, interestingly enough, where I got a lot of the opportunity to preach. Yeah. As he was recovering, and we need the pulpit to be filled, and he would trust me and, of course, others along the way. But he was the first person to say, listen, I'm not doing well.
Yeah.
And I need you to know, and he would say this to the church, I'm okay. But this is, to use the language of Paul in 2 Corinthians chapter, 12? This is my thorn in the flesh.
Yeah.
This is what it looks like for me. And while I may ask God to give me the grace, while I may ask God to take it away, the great likelihood is he's not going to take it away. But he's given, and this is what I love, God has given my pastor tremendous grace to walk with what he's been walking through. And to see, watch this, how the church responded.
Yeah.
To say, it's almost like when he said it, there were people who were wrestling with this who were like, I'm so glad you said it.
Yeah.
Because I know what that feels like. people in the congregation. And so we've been kind of on the front line. That is his. When I think of my pastor, beyond just the influence and impact of the church called Greater Mount Zion, I think one of his overarching impacts is going to be in that mental health space. And it's just been beautiful to watch. And I'm grateful for him. I'm grateful for his model, because what it did is it gave me the opportunity when I wasn't okay to say, I ain't got it. So
as you were talking, I can see. I mean, I wasn't in the room. I haven't been in the room for many of those conversations where you may have said it publicly or talked about it. But I can just see people like just taking a sigh, like deep breath, like, oh wow. Now I can be more forthcoming about mine. I think part of my mantra is normalizing conversations around mental health, and I feel like that's been a saving grace for many people, believe it or not. Like just to even be a part of the room and just let your hair down.
What's interesting about the church, particularly the church in general, and particularly the African American church, is that that's the space where often we are the most inauthentic. I was gonna say the fakest, but I've got better words than that. The most inauthentic, right? So when you ask somebody generally in church, how you doing? For real. They're gonna say, oh, I'm blessed and highly favored.
We go to our mask first.
Right. I'm too blessed to be stressed. And yet you stressing on the inside. And so when he did that, as he has led us over these last, oh my God, I know 15 plus years of him navigating the journey and us navigating it with him, it is a normalized conversation. We have a whole mental health ministry, right? And it was before it was buzzword in culture and in church culture. He was on the front line, and I'm forever indebted to him for that. Because it created the space to be normal, to be authentic, to be my best self. And what it did is, for him, it released the opportunity. Not released the opportunity. It created the opportunity, rather, to release some unfair, unmet expectations that a lot of times people in the congregation have of the pastor. It's not an excuse. Now, I want to be clear. There's a difference.
For sure.
He never makes an excuse. And we should never make an excuse. But if we have a bad day, we have a bad day. That's okay. Right? God is still God. God is still on the throne. God is still sovereign. So, man.
I was going to ask you really quick, do you think churches are doing enough to support mental health? Well, the mental health of their leaders and staff?
I don't know. And here's why I don't know. Because I don't know what's going on in everybody else's church.
Right.
I know in our context, there's probably more that we could do. But, we have created the space where, of course, conversations are normalized. We've created the space where we, put a couple of things in place, where we're able to, again, if any of us need a therapist, we just go get one, right? And fortunately enough for us, we've been able to build relationships with a lot of the. Of course, there haven't been many in Austin, many black therapists. Back then, there were not many, nearly as many. And so we had to build relationships with our friends across town. Some of the churches, I'm thinking about, I think the name, one of them is Hyde Park. I think they have a counseling. And so, we would partner with them. And,
for sure.
But now we've got more people who look like us and who understand the black struggle. And so, now, you asked me earlier, I don't know if we were on camera or off camera. We may have been off camera when you asked me. But now we're going to leverage you as a resource.
Yeah, definitely,
for sure. For sure.
Counselingforus.org. I'll tag us in the comments.
I think across the board, conversations are being had amongst other preachers. I know in many of my circles of my spheres of influence with preachers and pastors, the conversation is more normal. And so, there's some things that are being put in place in that context, but I can't speak for the aggregate. Sure. But in the spaces where I kind of live in traffic, I think we've got some stuff in place for sure.
I love that. And I know I tagged my practice, counseling for us.org, but on that same website, there are probably like 22 or 23 black male therapists in this area. And so the list to that to those folks are on my website. I just want everyone to get whatever support they need, even if it's not through me. So that's on that site for everyone.
No, I love that.
We on every episode, I want to read a letter from a listener where we're holding space for them. They're dealing with mental health and life and everything in between. And this particular letter comes from John. He says, "Dear Hill to Lead, I've always admired my pastor." Of course, I found one that was more connected to this conversation. But I've always admired my pastor. He shows up every week and pours out like his life depends on it. But it got me wondering, how does he refill? Does he ever stop to check in with himself? And how do spiritual leaders care for their mental health while they're constantly caring for everyone else's? What would you say to this listener, who's not criticizing but really just curious?
Yeah, I'll probably say we probably aren't doing as well as we should, because what happens is we get into the grind, right? And we get into the grind.
Yeah. And
it's like with anything. You can keep your head down for so long that you don't realize how far you've gotten away from.
Right.
And so I said that to say we probably don't do enough. What I've found, again, in my circles of preachers, pastors, both male and female, is that, again, the conversations are being had, the genuine check-ins. Hey, I don't want nothing from you. I ain't calling you to come preach for me.
Right.
I just want to check on you and see how you doing.
Yeah.
Like, that means so much.
Yeah.
Right? And to be able to do that with each other. I think the other part for us, again, in my context, is we're not in competition with each other.
Right.
And so that helps, particularly from a mental health perspective, because I don't feel like I got to hide myself from you.
Right.
So I've got genuine brothers and sisters who, when they need me, I'm going to hold space for them. And when I need them, they're going to hold space for me. Yeah. And we don't have to do a whole lot of preacher talk. We can just, listen, this is what I got going. Yeah. I need you to shoot it to me for real.
Yeah.
Right. And then, of course, having something that you do outside of church that you enjoy to refuel yourself. Yeah. Like I said, for me, I've got the hobby of golf. I've got the love of my boys. I like Ratchet TV. And so all of that for me is a form. But I'm aware that there's probably more. And I probably should have said this more concretely. It's also having space for a therapist.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm not just saying that because I'm on a podcast with a therapist, but one of the most meaningful things I ever heard was from a pastor who really kind of got me into it.
Okay.
Into therapy. And he said to me, V, you need a therapist, not just for crisis, but for maintenance.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when we think of going to a therapist, it's only because something is going to hell in a handbasket.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're in crisis.
Yeah, and so I need you to fix me before I show up, as I show up for all these other people. But he said to me, one of the best things you're going to do for your life, for your ministry, for the expansion of your life, is to have a therapist for maintenance sake. You pay them to keep all your secrets.
Yeah. And we have many of them.
Listen, let me tell you. And so, but even, in a very sincere way, and I know we're up against it, but in a very sincere way, it's a space where I can be authentically myself. And so I don't just have one for myself, but me and my wife, we have one together.
For sure.
Because, listen, I can do all these marriages and save all these other people's marriages. But if somebody heard that me and Joanna broke up, that's not going to be good for my ministry.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I'm not sure if I adequately answered the question, but I think I kind of answered the question.
No, we loved it. I mean, I think
Okay.
it was real and authentic,
Okay.
and I think it was just, your honest response.
Sure.
We love that. But yeah, if you are listening and you want to write into the show, write in at healedtolead@gmail.com, and we'll read your letter on the episode. And I just want to say thank you, brother.
Man, this was a joy.
Here. Yeah, man.
This was a joy. My hope and prayer is whenever I go into spaces, whether it's preaching at another person's church or coming into a space like this, I always want to add value.
Right.
And hopefully my time here
for
gives
sure.
people an insight into the life of a preacher, pastor. Granted, again, I'm not a lead pastor yet, but I get some of the first chair privilege and some of the first chair responsibility.
Yeah.
And so while I don't know it in totality, I know enough of it to be able to speak to it and, to let you know we're all human.
Yeah.
And so hopefully this has added value
100%
to you, for sure, man. Thanks for the opportunity.
For sure. Before I close, though, so you're a pastor, you preach a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything on your heart that you would want to share in this season to anyone? Like maybe I'm thinking like a 30-second message or a sermon if you want to speak into.
All right, so there's this line in Psalm 27, verse 4. David says, "One thing have I desired of the Lord, and this is the only thing I want to seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in his temple." And I love that because in so many contexts, so many of our contexts, we've got so many other things pulling and vying for our attention, vying for our desires. So many people, so many things, so many ideas. And at the end of the day, what you and I have to understand is that peace is not often attached to the myriad and many things that we feel like we can put our hands on. The peace that we often are looking for is tied and attached to the one thing that is Christ. And when we behold Christ's beauty, we recognize that he really is the source of our satisfaction. And I know it sounds simple. I know it seems trite. I know it doesn't speak to all of the complexities of life. But I want to invite you to consider, instead of spending your life looking down at the people seemingly that you're over, or looking, watch this, around at everything that everybody else got going on, I want to invite you to live with your eyes looking up, realizing that everything that you need for life and godliness, God will make sure that he gives it to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. So that's what I would say. Yeah.
That's good. Look up.
Yeah, keep looking up.
That's a good place to end. Thank you for watching the episode. Thank you for being here, my brother.
Man, it's my joy.
I appreciate it. Again, I'm your host, Kevin Overton-Hadnot. Peace out.